Alright, my name's Clayton Dugacek, and this is my Biology 210 lab oral report, and it's on enzymes and how carbohydrates provide usable energy for athletic performance. So here's an overview of enzymes and kind of what we covered in class, just to reiterate. Enzymes are proteins that assist in the catalyzation of chemical reactions. Enzymes are always present during a reaction and are not used up. Enzymes bind only to specific substrates, and in the case of carbohydrate utilization, the enzyme amylase interacts with starch, which is the substrate, to convert carbohydrates to usable energy. Now, the question remains, why are carbohydrates important for endurance athletes or athletes in general? Because athletes engage in prolonged activity all the time, they need to have a quick, accessible energy source to keep up with the energy they're outputting and fuel their activity. Carbohydrates act as that source. Carbohydrates can provide this energy by being stored in the liver and the muscles as glycogen, which is a series of interconnected glucose molecules, or sugars, which is the base level that provides energy. It's what results from the carbohydrate breakdown. And the process of carbohydrate breakdown. This process is very closely related to the catalyzation of enzymes. When carbohydrate-dense foods first enter your mouth and make contact with saliva, an enzyme known as amylase begins to break down the carbohydrates. Salivary amylase is then neutralized by gastric acid when it reaches the stomach. However, the typical substrate to amylase, starch, is not fully broken down and moves into the small intestine, where it comes into contact with pancreatic amylase. So this is what I think of it is interacting with the starch and amylase are interacting in the saliva when food first enters your mouth and the process of breakdown begins. And when the starch remains and the salivary amylase is used up, it reloads the amylase so the remaining starch can be broken down. And after this remaining starch binds to the pancreatic amylase, glucose is produced. Glucose is a sugar that provides energy to the body and is administered through the bloodstream to all the tissues and muscles throughout the body. A lack of this sugar causes fatigue, especially during the physical activity. And there are a few factors that influence the way energy is administered. Simple and complex carbohydrates administer energy to the body in opposite ways. Simple carbohydrates provide a great deal of energy for a short duration because they are easier to break down. Simple carbs also catalyze more quickly in this case, which is why energy is provided rapidly. Complex carbohydrates provide consistent levels of energy because they are not capable of being catalyzed as fast, because there are other nutrients to account for. It's not just the raw sugar and glucose that provides the energy. And here's a couple examples of what constitutes complex carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates in our typical diets. Beans, whole grains, nuts, rice. Those are all complex carbohydrates because they provide all sorts of different nutrients in addition to carbohydrates, so it takes a little bit longer for them to be broken down into glycogen that provides the energy. And simple carbohydrates are items like fruit juice, corn syrup, and brown sugar because they're just raw sugar for the most part, and they can just be easily recognized by the body as simple carbohydrates and taken in for energy and administered through the body. And here is my reference page, and thank you for watching.